I am not riding Flight of Passage again without... What's up, my fellow binge travelers? Now today's video is a bit controversial because today we are talking about 10 things I will never, and I mean never, do again at Disney World. Now I'm not saying no one should ever do these things because I'm sure you'll love at least one, but that can be our little secret. For the first item on my list, I am starting off with a banger. The number one thing I will never do again at Disney World is Navi River Journey. Now, if you like this ride at all, leave a comment down below telling me why. And if you love this ride, please explain why you love it. Because for me, it's just so incredibly boring. And I'm sorry, Disney. I rode Navi River Journey for the very first time a while back, and my expectations were way up here after even walking around Pandora, and especially after riding Flight of Passage. And riding Navi River Journey was such a disappointment. It's a simple boat ride with not much happening. Yes, the animatronics are great, I'll give you that, Disney, but as a ride, it falls flat on its face, in my opinion. It's a snooze fest, and I love everything about Disney, but Navi River Journey is not something I will be doing again, personally. Time for the second thing I won't be doing again, which is go during April/summer/July, which is still summer, but still July or December. You get the point. Basically, I'm not going when it's 2,000 degrees or during a holiday. Since I have this channel and all, this point will end up being a lie, but it's all good. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still enjoyable during these times, it's just not ideal. If you have a trip planned during a holiday, don't worry about it, you'll still have a great time. Just expect some crowds, and by crowds I mean, imagine a sardine can, but the sardine can is 100 miles squared, and there's 50 million sardines. In all seriousness, you'll still have a great time. Just for your next trip, watch my video on the best times to visit Disney World, and you'll be set. So, I asked my binge travelers over on Facebook about the things that they would never do again, and over 1,000 of you guys responded, so thank you very much for that. And some of you just getting a bunch of weird answers like the stunt show from a couple years ago, and Stitch's Great Escape, and I hate to break it to you, but that one's been closed for a long time, like a couple years long time. I don't even think Stitch will be doing that one anytime soon. Some of the rides you all mentioned never doing again were Mission Space, Yeah, I can see that. That's fair. Small World, and how dare you diss Small World like that? How could you not love the most annoying ride in existence? Tomorrowland Speedway, Primeval Whirl, Nemo the Musical, and my cousin Seth would agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. It literally put him to sleep. But if you're looking for a good nap, you know, go for it. Speaking of things in Animal Kingdom that will put you to sleep, and this is the next one, can we talk about Rivers of Light for a second? Let me explain if you have no idea what I'm talking about. For the longest time, Animal Kingdom closed really early, like 6 o'clock, so all the animals could go to sleep peacefully at night. That's great and all, good on you, Disney, but somewhere along the line, Disney decides Animal Kingdom needs a nighttime show like the rest of the parks. And the best thing they could come up with is a $100 million nightlight. That's the best you can do, Disney? Again, I love Disney and they can take all my money anytime, but Rivers of Light is a no-go for me. Let's move on to some food. I'm starving and it's a perfect time to talk about food. Be Our Guest. Now this one comes from the comments, and this person mentioned that she went to Be Our Guest for breakfast and she thinks it's a ripoff. She says, "Hey Josh, we think Be Our Guest is a ripoff and it's not worth the money." I'm going to teach you how to go to Be Our Guest and not get ripped off, but for the time being, she's telling me that she hates the restaurant altogether because it's so expensive. If you're going to Be Our Guest for breakfast or dinner, it's not worth it, like at all. You can pay the same prices for Cinderella's Castle, and the experience is way beyond Be Our Guest. Now, if you're really wanting to eat at Snow White's Castle, you really need the dining plan, and you really need to go for lunch. If you have the dining plan and go for lunch, it's actually an amazing deal, because it counts as a quick service meal. And if you're on the fence about going to Be Our Guest or not, I would go sooner rather than later, because I have a feeling Disney will be converting Be Our Guest into a table service meal as well. So go while it's still a good deal. You can eat there for lunch with the dining plan, but skip breakfast and dinner altogether because it's just not worth it in my opinion. While we're on the topic of food, don't get the Deluxe dining plan. It's way too much food if you actually want to do anything. I've gotten the Deluxe dining plan before, and it's an absolute nightmare. Hey Seth, we have like 50 snacks. What are you gonna get? What are you gonna get? Oh my god. We gotta use so we gotta use all our snack credits. Unless you just want to eat non-stop, get the normal dining plan. It's plenty. Another thing I will never ever ever do is not get fast passes. If you were a Disney World newbie before watching my videos and you didn't get fast passes and planned a trip to Disney World, I am so sorry. I've been in the same boat, but we're not making that mistake again because this time we are getting our fast passes. You should also hop on a Flight of Passage fast pass because the line can get up to 3 hours long. I don't know about you, but I'm not waiting in a 3-hour line if I don't have to. Give me that Flight of Passage fast pass, baby. I am not riding Flight of Passage again without a fast pass. Next thing on the agenda is taking the wrong people. And if my sister ever gets around to watching this, she'll probably be thinking if I'm talking about her, and no, I'm not. This one actually comes from a fellow binge traveler. She says that she took her ex-husband to Disney World. First of all, why would you ever do that in a million years? I have no idea. But she says it was a big mistake, and she wanted to let you all know. In summary, make sure you're bringing people you don't hate, preferably people you love, but at least make sure you like them a little bit, or you're gonna have a rough time. She also mentioned that she doesn't think the dessert parties are particularly worth it, and I happen to agree with her. They've been pretty average and pretty expensive in my experience, so make sure if you have a dessert party planned, look into it a little bit harder because it may not be right for you. A little bonus tip from Josh. Next tip is actually staying off property. If you have been to Disney and stayed on and off property, you definitely know what I mean. Staying off property is nowhere near the experience of staying at a Disney resort. Even if you can't afford a deluxe resort, go for a value or moderate. Not having to drive to the parks is one thing, but the overall Disney experience can't be completed if you stay off property. The Disney experience also can't be completed if you don't subscribe to the channel. We have videos showing you every single thing you need to know so you can have a magical Disney experience. I also handpicked you a new video to watch. I went on a non-Disney cruise for the first time and picked the worst cruise on the planet. I'll see you there.